What's happening, man? You already know what's going on. It's your boy Dallas Clark, also known as Indo as Manindo, and I'm back again with another installment of the Fantasy Football Huddle presented by the Huddle Chat Sports Show. Huddle up, ready, break, let's get it started. I'm ready to get it cracked off. Whew. I need to breathe. Whew. I'm getting a little too excited. It's almost kickoff. It's almost time. It's almost here. Football. I'm so excited, and I know you are too, man. I'm so excited to be done with these pre-week 1 rankings and all that good stuff and get right into the regular season. I'm ready to get my fantasy football team started. I'm ready to get my NFL Red Zone kicked off. I'm ready to get my grill kicked off on Sunday morning. I just can't wait for football season. It's my favorite time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. The best season of all, football season. And we're here with the Fantasy Football Huddle, bringing you guys today the top breakout players. 5 of the top breakout players over here at the Fantasy Football Huddle for your Fantasy Football League. Players that you want to definitely have stashed on your roster when the time comes, because they're going to be a lottery ticket that you can cash that will help you laugh all the way to the bank with your fantasy football winnings. Now, before we get everything kicked off, of course, I got to thank you guys so much about the love that we've been getting here on the Fantasy Football Huddle. I talked about my stardoms and situms episode from a couple episodes back. That one has gotten so much love. That one's my first ever YouTube video, over 200 videos, and it just keeps climbing. Every time I look, it's just more and more and more, and the likes are up there, and I can't thank you guys enough, man. While you're watching this, if you can, please check it. Make sure you hit that like button. It should be over here. Hit that like button right down here. It'll help me out a lot more than you even realize, but help yourself out. And hit that notifications bell once you hit that subscription button if you're new to the channel, because that notifications bell will let you know as soon as an episode comes out. I'm talking about as soon as it gets published and it's public, before I can even share it out on my own Facebook, you will get the notification that it's available for you to watch, so that way you can get the advantage on your league. I mean, do you know somebody that may be struggling with some fantasy football stuff, that needs that fantasy football advice, that is always talking to everybody about their fantasy football team, and at the end of the day, nobody really cares about your fantasy football team? Well, I'm here to tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Fantasy Football Huddle, Dallas Clark, I care about your fantasy football team. Bring me all your fantasy football questions. Show me your team lineup. I'll rate it. Give me all of that. I want to see your fantasy football team names, your fantasy football teams. I want to see your fantasy football questions. I want to see all of it. Drop it down in the comments of my YouTube video. Find us on Twitter at the Huddle Chat. Find us on Facebook at the Huddle Chat Sports. You can always get in contact with me here at THC Sports. As a matter of fact, we have one comment on one of the last videos that we got to go over here after we get everything sparked up. Now, of course, if you don't smoke them, I'm not pressuring you to do anything you don't want to do. But if you do smoke them, now's the time that I do invite you to smoke them if you got them. Let's get it cracking, and let's get right into the news. Now, today is going to be a super fun episode. We're talking about the biggest potential breakout candidates of your fantasy football league this year. Before we get cracked off into that, I want to get off into one comment I got here on one of my last videos. Thank you so much for dropping it. From The One, he's asking, what is a better week 1 start? Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, or Robbie Anderson? And that's actually an extremely good question. Me personally, I'm taking Chase Claypool out the mix compared to the other two, just because of the matchup that Chase Claypool has. I don't like the defense Chase Claypool's playing against. Now you're talking about Antonio Brown versus Robbie Anderson. And I think that Robbie Anderson is probably going to be the answer to go with in that situation, even though it's kind of a toss-up for me, because I do like Antonio Brown. But the problem with Antonio Brown is going to be that wide receiver room. If I was picking of Bucs wide receivers to start, I would start Antonio Brown. I think that with the amount of targets, the amount of yards, the amount of touchdowns, if you guys haven't heard me talk about it before, watch any of my previous episodes, wide receivers, top 24 picks, breakout. Watch any of my previous videos, you'll hear me talk about Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown was a big focal point of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense when he came into Tampa Bay. I think I think Antonio Brown is an amazing start. You can go wrong with neither Antonio Brown or Robbie Anderson, but I think Robbie Anderson coming back into New York Jets against that very suspect New York Jets defense with Sam Darnold, a quarterback, coming back to the New York Jets with something to prove. I think out of those three options, I go Robbie Anderson. That's the decision that I would make. Plug it in, play it. Let me know how it works on your fantasy football lineup, and we'll see what's going on here on the Fantasy Football Huddle. Now, moving past that again to one, thank you so much for checking out the Fantasy Huddle, and thank you for the comment. If anybody else has any comments, any questions, anything like that, please never be afraid to drop those. I love answering those kind of questions. I always want to help you guys get that advantage and that step up on your league. Now, moving on into those breakout candidates, like I said, I got 5 for you today. Starting it off with number 5 will be Damian Harris from New England. I'm loving Damian Harris's ADP and the value that you can get Damian Harris at the price that you have to pay for him. I mean, you look at last season was a good year too with New England for Damian Harris. He averaged 5 yards per rush, which was 7th among running backs last season, and he only played in 10 games last season. If he's healthy, even if his yards per carry decline, he's looking at hitting over 1,000 yards over 1,000 yards this year. His touchdown total is going to look like it's increasing because Mike McCorkle is not Cam Newton. Cam Newton last season took 15 of the 22 goal-to-goal carries in the 10 games that Damian Harris played last season. Mike McCorkle is not that guy. They may do a QB sneak or two, but it's not as likely as Cam Newton snaking those goal line carries from him. So you're looking at his touchdowns looking like they're going to come up. You're looking at even if he loses an average with the amount of target share that he's going to have, with more carries that he's going to have in this running back room in New England, you're looking at he's going to have a top 10 offensive line. I'm looking at Damian Harris being a 1,000+ yard rusher this year with an increase on his touchdown production. Damian Harris is definitely one to be one that you want to add to your roster. Now, moving on from Damian Harris, I want to talk about a quarterback. A quarterback that is not a quarterback that you're probably going to start many, many weeks this season unless you run into quarterback issues or you really struggle with quarterback in the draft. This is a man that's going to be sitting on your bench as a QB2 that's going to help you when it matters most. I'm looking at Daniel Jones from the New York Giants. Everything speaks. All the pieces are in place for Daniel Jones to have a better year than he did in his sophomore year. He went through his sophomore slump, and his sophomore slump was also accompanied with an absolutely wretched wide receiver room. The number 1 running back on the team, one of the best running backs in the league, having an ACL tear and being out for the entire season. I mean, everything was terrible for Daniel Jones last season. In the offseason, of course, Saquon gets a little bit healthier. We don't know if he's 100% quite yet, but Saquon is back. We can say that. Saquon is back. But they did also draft Kadarius Toney in the draft, and they got one of the top free agent wideouts in Kenny Golladay. Evan Ingram is still there, who he has a lot of rapport with, and you're looking at the New York Giants only got better in their targets for Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones was already a good quarterback, already gave you that mobility. Even though he can't really run too terribly far without tripping over blades of grass, Daniel Jones is a good quarterback and is definitely a person that you want to keep on your bench when the time comes to cash those chips in. Now, real quick before continuing any further, I gotta ask you why you haven't hit the like button yet on the video. Why you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I mean, come on, dog. It's about the 3rd video of mine that you watched by now. What are you even doing right now? Just hit the like button, and we can continue with the content. I'm waiting. Thank you. Now, continuing down the line on my top 5 potential breakout candidates, looking at number 3 is going to be CeeDee Lamb from the Dallas Cowboys. Did you see CeeDee Lamb? Because I haven't seen it yet. He had a strong rookie season even without Dak Prescott. And there's no secret as to why his only 100+ yard football games were with Dakota Prescott chucking the duck down the field. It makes simple sense to me. Dak Prescott equals 100+ yards, better opportunities for that for CeeDee Lamb. You're also looking at he had 74 catches on 111 targets last season with 935 yards and 5 touchdowns without Dak Prescott for most of the entire season. With a healthy Dak Prescott, I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb taking 90+ catches for over 1,000 yards. Plus, you can see an addition of touchdowns because that man, he's got the toe magic, the sideline toe touch, so to say. I think CeeDee Lamb is a dangerous red zone target, and I think he's going to have a booming year for the Dallas Cowboys. My number 2 breakout candidate this year is going to be my favorite breakout candidate on the list, Michael Pittman Jr., the big man from USC playing for the Indianapolis Colts. He has the talent, he has the size, he has the speed to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's not forget that he went with 40 catches for 503 yards last season with old man Rivers chucking him the ball down the field. I can guarantee you, I don't care what you think about Carson Wentz, I guarantee you Carson Wentz gives us and Michael Pittman a better chance than Phillip Rivers did last season. I'm looking at, with him being completely healthy, Carson Wentz being completely, I can totally see him taking 75 catches for 1,000 yards this season, plus seeing more than the one measly-ass touchdown that he got last year. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to have a big season this year, plus you add in the fact that T.Y. Hilton's out for the first week, at least. He's already on IR, so he's looking like he's probably going to miss the first three weeks at minimum. So Michael Pittman Jr. is going to see an increase in targets, and he's going to get that increase in trust and morale with Carson Wentz. I think everything is going to look amazing for Michael Pittman Jr. this year. Now, the number 1 breakout candidate that I have this year on the list, it should be no secret to you if you've been doing your research like you should have been because you've been watching my show. That can't be the only research that you're doing. I know I do a lot of stuff here for you, but there's not enough research in the world that we do here on the Fantasy Football Huddle that can eliminate the amount of research that you need to do in order to win your fantasy football, in order to win your fantasy football league. You're taking the right step by watching my videos, but that's not enough. Gus Edwards is going to be my number 1 breakout candidate this year. You're looking at, he has one of 2 roles to success this year. You're looking at, number 1, the easy role is that he takes over J.K. Dobbins' expected role to be a quarterback 2, handling a ton of touches, getting a ton of work out of the backfield, and being able to work in that running back room for the Baltimore Ravens, who is the premier rushing team in the NFL. They ranked number 1 in rushing attempts and number 3 in rushing touchdowns last season. And we're also, I'm saying that role maintains, and that's assuming if the 2 backup running backs, which can you name them? The 2 backup running backs, that's assuming if one of them steps up and take what Gus Edwards' role would have been before J.K. Dobbins got injured. I see J.K. Dobbins getting an increased role, or I see Gus Edwards getting an increased role of what J.K. Dobbins was going to have because Gus Edwards is now the only real remaining running back in the Baltimore Ravens locker room. In the last 3 seasons, Gus Edwards has had at least 700 yards and averaged 5 yards per carry, and an increase of touches and an increased workload could easily push him over 1,000 yards. He now stands as the only remaining true running back in Baltimore. I see Gus Edwards having an explosive year. Take the chance and go out and get him in that 4th or 5th round as your running back to your flex option running back, and do yourself a favor. But thank y'all so much for staying here with me at the Huddle Chat Sports Fantasy Football Huddle. It was another great episode with y'all today. We had a damn good time. Thank y'all so much for the love and the support. And if you haven't liked it yet, please like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to it. It's been your boy Dallas Clark, also known as Indo as my Nindo. I hope your plans never stop growing and the news never stop showing. I'm all the way the fuck up out of here. Let's continue that countdown to the real regular season kickoff. Ooh, I can't wait. Woo! All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. I'm out of here.
Thank you.